later on the BBC World Service, Witness. And today we journey back 15 years to 2001. First ever moment a Pope set foot in a mosque.
First of all, it's overwhelming in the size and in its particular beauty.
I'm Rebecca Kesby, and I've been speaking to Bishop Brian Farrell, who accompanied Pope John Paul II to the majestic Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, Syria.
For somebody who had little or no experience of Islam, for me it was a huge discovery of a whole cultural and religious world that I knew very little about.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God.
My deepest impression of him was as the most mature human being that I think I have ever met.
That's Witness today, and to hear more of our history programmes, just search for BBC Witness.
Top story this hour. The British government has announced a major overhaul of how it would like the BBC to be run. The proposal is for a new executive board featuring some British government appointees. The BBC's Director of Strategy, James Pennell, came in earlier to the NewsHour studio. Are you concerned that the BBC could at least be perceived as becoming not a public broadcasting entity, but a state broadcasting entity?
No, the BBC's not a state.
No, I know that it is, and that's why it is in large part a success. But is that what is at risk?
I think what's important is to debate it to get it right. So I'm not going to start saying that because of this one thing would suddenly be a state broadcaster or perceived to be, but it is absolutely vital that the BBC's independence is protected and seems to be protected.
And one other headline I can bring you, I can see from the TV agency feeds in the studio, Brazil's new active president, Michel Temer, is making his first address to the nation. This is NewsHour, live from the BBC World Service in London with me, Tim Franks. Iraq is in an appalling mess, beset by violence, hobbled by corruption, paralysed by its politics. Some, though, have suffered particularly hard. Among that benighted group must fall the Yazidis, the religious minority north of the country, who were overrun by the self-declared Islamic State militants 2 years ago. The US administration described what happened to them as genocide. The massed killings, the massed rapes, the forced conversions, the enslavement of women and children. Now, the most senior Yazidi delegation to date has just arrived in London. I've been speaking to one of them, Mahmoud Farhan Othman, who fled from Iraq to Germany in the early 1980s after the rise of Saddam. He returned in 2004 to take up a ministerial post in a post-invasion Alawi government. Like many Yazidis, he now lives in Iraq's Kurdish-administered north. First, let's hear from the woman who's hosting the Yazidis. She's the British politician, Baroness Emma Nicholson. She chairs the Ammar Foundation, which works to improve the lives of some of the Middle East's most disadvantaged. What exactly is she hoping will be achieved?
We want more targeted help for the future. The Yazidis, let alone the Mandaeans, the Christians and the other religious minorities, to have safety, for example. If they are going to remain in Iraq, then their area of living, known as the ancient Nineveh Plain, must be made secure somehow. I think one of the important things is to have a campaign that the plight of the Yazidi people is truly known. Not that it just thought there's a small amount of sex slavery in a rather miserable corner of the globe, which after all is next door to Syria, so it would happen, wouldn't it? That is not the case at all. This is one of the most ancient faiths. It goes back at least 4,000 years ago. It is strong with all of these assaults. This is not just a crime against humanity. It's largely now accepted everywhere, including our government and all the rest of it, without the correct wording. This is genocide.
But if